inversion, and second one pumping. Okay, to create population inversion you need some energy. Okay, that will use will give pumping process. Okay, second one, third one is some active medium, that is material you have to need. Okay, in that we will produce laser beam, and after that stimulated emission process. Okay, stimulated emission, this is one more thing. And fifth one, you need resonator or optical cavity. Resonator or optical cavity required to, why you need a resonator or optical cavity means to create or to amplify or to strengthen the laser beam. Okay, to amplify the laser beam you need optical cavity. Okay, and one more thing here, this is the few important process we have to do before producing the laser beam. Okay, now we will see what is the population inversion means. So here see, generally atoms are in the figure you see. So generally atoms will sit in the ground state. Okay, here suppose 2 3 3 6 8 8 atoms are there in the ground state, right, in this diagram. So in the excited state only 2 atoms are there. Now condition is here n1 greater than n2, right. Number of atoms in the ground state are higher than the excited state. So to produce stimulated emission we have to have higher number of atoms in the excited state. So for that what we have to do, you have to send the ground state atom to excited state, then only we will get spontaneous emission or stimulated emission. For that you need to give some energy to these ground state atoms and you have to send. Okay, you have to reverse the this scenario. You have to reverse this scenario. That means you have to create number of atoms in the excited state compared to the ground state. For that you are giving some energy to these atoms and you will send to the excited state. In the second case you see n2 greater than n1, n2 greater than n1. So E2 always higher energy state, energy is higher compared to ground state, but here only what we are doing, we are inversing the atoms from ground state to exit state. We are reversing the atoms. We are creating more number of atoms in the excited state compared to the ground state. We are creating the condition n2 greater than n1. Okay, n2 greater than n1. This one we are what we are calling population inversion. You see here in the definition only population inverse. Here population means atoms or molecules. Suppose in humans, if you take population means number of people. Okay, if you take animals, number of animals, that is population in that animals. Okay, here if you take any material, population means number of atoms. Inversion means we are reversing the atoms. Suppose ground state is higher, we are reversing that one. We are making ground state lower and higher energy state higher. Okay, so the creating the particles higher in number of particles in the excited state is larger than the ground state. That condition we are calling a population inversion. Okay, number of particles in the higher energy state are higher compared to ground state. Just simple as n2 greater than n1. That is what population inversion means. Okay, using this Boltzmann approximation you can estimate the how many number of atoms available in the excited state and how many atoms available in the ground state. That is n2 by n1 is equal to exponential minus E2 minus E1 by kT. Here E2 is the higher energy state, E1 is the ground state. Here also n2 is the number of particle higher energy state, n1 is the number of particles in the ground state. K is the Boltzmann constant, T is the temperature. Okay, so depending on this equation we can estimate the ratio of two energy levels. Okay, two energy levels. So if you create population inversion we will have number of atoms in the excited state. Okay, once these atoms come to the ground state we can produce the photons, number of photons, either stimulated photons or spontaneous photons. So that is why we are creating the population inversion mainly to produce the photons. Suppose if atoms going to ground state to exit state, no photons are releasing. Only when we are getting photons, when excited state atoms comes to the ground state only, we are getting photons, either spontaneous or stimulated. Okay, for that only we are creating population inversion. Okay, is this clear? Why we are creating population inversion?
Yes, sir.
So to produce the photons, or to generate the photons, we are creating the population inversion. So when atoms going from ground state to excited state, there is no emission of photons. Only when we are getting photons, when atoms coming from excited state to ground state, only we are getting. For that only we are creating the population inversion. This is one important step. And to create population inversion, you need to give some energy. Okay, that is what pumping means. Pumping means what? Here pumping means, so here atoms are in the ground state, so here are more number of atoms are in the ground state, so there is no atoms in the excited state. So here you need to give some energy, then only atoms will climb into the excited state, or atoms will go into the excited state. So then we will create the population. To send these atoms to excited state, you need to give some energy. Okay, this energy we can give in different process. One is optical pumping, one is chemical pumping, another is electrical pumping. Three pumping schemes are there. So pumping means what? It is a simple process of process for achieving a population inversion. This is very simple process to achieve a population inversion. Okay, pumping means nothing but it is a simple process to achieve population inversion. Okay. To create population inversion, here three process we are in. One is optical pumping, another is second chemical pumping, and third one is source. Okay, some light we use and we'll send the atoms from ground state to exit state. In chemical pumping, we use some chemical reactions. Okay, we use chemical reactions and we'll send the atoms down state to exit state. And third one, in electrical pumping, where we will give some voltage, very high voltage, or depends on requirement, we will give some voltage. Okay, we'll send the atoms from ground state to excited state. Okay, this is the electrical pumping. Okay. And this process we will discuss is one while discussing lasers. For helium and laser, what type of pumping we are using, ruby laser, what type of pumping we are using, and we will discuss when we will discuss that topic in the topic. And last one, active medium. Okay, active medium means there should be a material or medium in which we can create the population inversion or lasing action or laser beam. Okay, that is what active medium means. Okay, so you need some material to create population inversion. Okay, all material we cannot create population inversion. Okay, in only some material are very inactive. Okay, some material are active to send from ground state to excited state. Okay, that material we are using as a active medium. Okay, so after that we have this after that resonator optical cavity we have, that is we will discuss tomorrow. Okay, up to now is it clear to you, these basics? Any doubts in this basic?